Howdy everyone, I'm Doug. Today we're going to get started on a new project using this beautiful big piece of maple burl. Got this from my buddy Tom. He's given me a lot of stuff. I really want to give Tom a shout out, so thanks Tom for this beautiful piece of wood. You can see Tom's stuff at musewoodcraft.com. He makes some really beautiful stuff. Go check it out. So today, we're going to be working with this. I just took it out and gave it a chop on the chainsaw to kind of change the shape a little bit, and I saved a piece. This nice piece. I'm going to make a plate out of that eventually. But for the moment, we're working with this bad boy. So step one, I think, is going to be to take it to the table saw, and maybe just lop these corners off. I finally ordered my bandsaw, so in a few weeks I won't have to take this to the table saw. I can take it to the bandsaw and round it up. We're not there yet though, a couple more weeks before the bandsaw comes. So yeah, take it to the table saw, chop these corners, and then we're gonna make a nice vase out of this. It's looks like it's got maybe a little bit of spalting in it too. We'll have to see once we get into it. There's a little bit of bark inclusion, but we'll see, once we get it turned, if there's anything that has to be addressed. But otherwise, it's a nice solid piece of wood, and I think it's going to make a really beautiful vase when we're done with it. So why don't we get started? Thanks for joining me, and don't forget, always enjoy that process. Sometimes that's all you get. Let's get going. Next step is to find the center. I got to mount the face plate, I think, up top here, but I need to find the center. Yep. Okay, like that. How are we going to flatten this out for the face plate? I can't put it in my drill press because it's too tall. I think I'm going to try the woodworm screw first. Alright, here we go. 280 RPM. All right. So we got to decide on a final shape now. Could go with something very simple and elegant, just a kind of a curved. I was going to leave the top, probably take the bark off and leave the burl points and stuff. And the top will look something like this. This is another piece, not from here, but same kind of wood. But you can see all these little texture. So that's what the top would look like with the bark removed. So I'm thinking I might just do that. So there'll be a whole kind of a sloped top to this edge. And then what? All right, so giving this a little bit of thought. This is about 13 inches on this edge, and the low point, I don't know, maybe here is about 12. So I'm going to divide this into thirds. Let's go with 12 because that's easy to divide up into thirds. So that's 8, that's 4, and that's 12. Okay, so that's divided into thirds. I'm going to leave some live edge on the top. I need to have a neck and a, kind of a body for the vase down here. So I think what I'll start with is the easy part, which is making the base a little narrower. So I'll turn the base here, and then we got to decide how far up we want the vase to go before the neck and the top. So let's get to that. Mask on. All right, I think we're ready to hit this with some alcohol and see how it looks. I've sanded this up to 400 grit. I'm happy with almost all of it. There's just a little bit of marking here that I can still see. I can't really feel it, but I can still see it just a teeny bit. Probably should just bite the bullet and keep sanding. Sigh. All right, I'm going to do that. All right. So I sanded this up a little bit better. I think it's time to clean it with some alcohol and see if we're happy with the outcome. Yeah, I still see some sanding marks. Right here, there's a line. This is just denatured alcohol, and if there are scratches, they'll be visible. And I don't see any. Looks good. So this is cleaning, but it's also helping me see if I need to do any more sanding. I think it looks good. Next step is to spin this around, mount it by the tenon, and start looking at the top and the hollowing. Yeah, it's a bit better. It's a cut rather than a scrape. Actually, it's a lot better. It's good on, pretty much good everywhere here. Got more here than I thought I would, but I really can't go further because of this unevenness. If I go further in on this lip, I'm going to be cutting off this lip, so I think the top is the way the top's going to be. So I think I'm good down to the neck now. I just need to keep going down below. So what do we do next? How do we get to the bottom of this? I got a long way to go. The bottom is basically right here. It's got at least 2 more inches to go down the bottom, which I can't do from this side. After consulting with my design associate, a la Jill, my wife, we have made the decision to accept the limitations of our tools. And what I'm going to do is just sand the inside, keep the bottom the way it is. It'll be a little bit heavy weighted on the bottom. It's not all bad because it will actually lend to stability. We're going to spin that as a plus. It's not super heavy, but you know, there's definitely at least an inch of extra wood down here at the bottom that I normally wouldn't have. But it's such a nice piece the way it is. I don't want to wreck it. And you know, in order to do anything to turn from the bottom, I'm going to need to glue a piece of wood in the top here so I can mount this to the lathe. There's a lot of risk in that I won't get it centered and it won't spin even. It's just not a good plan for a piece this nice. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to accept the limitations of my current tools, put it back in the lathe the way it was, and start sanding on the inside. Call hollowing done. Quit while you're ahead, right? Okay, let's get to that. But yeah, I'm just gonna start sanding in here with probably 60 grit because there's a lot of tear out, and work my way up to 400, same as I did on the outside. Yeah, I think it looks good. Thinking about trying Danish oil on here or maybe tung oil, but I don't want to darken it too much. I think I'll just try some on this scrap and see what happens. This is Danish oil. It does a pretty nice job of bringing out the figure. It does darken it a fair amount, but it's not terrible. I'm just going to write a D on here for Danish oil. This side I'm going to do tung oil. See if this looks any different. Not really. All right, given that they, at least at the outset, both look about the same, I'm gonna go with Danish oil because of concerns about it. Tung oil can darken over time, and I don't want to darken this piece more than necessary. And the Danish oil also dries quicker, and I think dries harder, so Danish oil it is. Beautiful. I think this thing's gonna drink up a lot of oil. So I'll just keep rubbing this on. Try to get a good soaking into the wood. This wood is very thirsty. You can see these areas that are matte. I don't know if you can see them, but pretty much the whole thing. Danish oil will also finish to a higher sheen than tung oil does. And this, being an artistic piece, I think I want this to have a higher sheen than matte. Maybe you can polish it up, tung oil, but Danish oil will naturally have a semi-gloss kind of sheen to it. That's more the look I'm going for, so I think Danish oil is the right choice here. Wow. Let me bring you around, maybe you can see it better from over here. So you can see when I wipe the oil on, there's a nice gloss, and then areas where it was applied earlier, you can see it's kind of a mixture of flat and gloss. So the wood's absorbing the oil. And I'll just wipe on a new coat. If it's really thirsty, I'll just squirt it straight on like that and let it spread. Kind of gently wipe it on. Nice thick coat. Let's see what happens if I wipe on some. You see this spot right here growing. That's the oil just being sucked up by the wood. Can't put it on fast enough. I don't think I showed it on the video, but these blacker areas are bark inclusions that I kind of cleaned out and I filled with black CA glue to get a smoother kind of finish on the outside. I didn't do that on the inside. After getting as much of this soaked in as I can, I'll let it sit for a little bit to absorb into the wood as much as possible, and then I'll wipe off any excess. You don't want to leave this on the surface because it'll dry tacky. You just want to have it in the wood, not on the wood. All right, that's a lot of oil. Still drinking it up, and I think I'm going to stop there and let this absorb in. Give it 10 minutes or so. I'll wipe off the excess, and then that'll cure probably till tomorrow. And then I'll repeat this 2 more times. Probably won't take as much the second time and the third time. I'll do the same thing on the inside. And I'll probably just kind of squirt some in here on the top. Not really sure how else I can do it. All right, so we're down to the last bit of work on this piece. I need to take the tenon off the bottom. So I'm going to use this as a jam chuck in here. And we will take that tenon off. Snap that guy off. Give it a bunch of sanding. Sign it, and we're done.